Hello, thank you for coming. I'm Kathy Owen, President of Midlands Independent Review Board. I've been involved in clinical research and IRBs since 1992. I worked with the Quintiles IRB for 9 years before helping to start Midlands IRB in 2001. In 2009, I became sole owner of Midlands. In 2010, Midlands became the first independent IRB in the Midwest to attain full accreditation status from the Association for the Accreditation of Human Research Protections Program, AHRP for short. AHRP is the gold standard in the industry. I want to talk a little bit about IRBs and the importance of IRB oversight of research. First of all, what is an IRB? Under FDA regulations, an IRB is an appropriately constituted group that reviews and monitors research involving human subjects. IRB stands for Institutional Review Board or Independent Review Board. Institutional would mean you're associated with a hospital, university, or other research site or organization. Independent means you're not associated. Midlands IRB is an independent IRB. Does the IRB need to be called an IRB? No. IRB is a generic name. You can call your IRB whatever you like. You can call it Joe Schmo's Review Group if you like, as long as you're meeting the regulations. There is no regulation requiring that it be called an IRB. IRB function, the purpose of an IRB is to review research and to ensure that the rights, welfare, and confidentiality of human subjects involved in research are adequately protected. Composition of an IRB. According to the regulations, an IRB has to contain at least 5 members with varying backgrounds, experience and qualifications, and you have to have scientific and non-scientific people, and males and females. Does the IRB need to register with the FDA? Yes, through the Department of Health and Human Services. And this is a recent regulation. Before 2009, IRBs were not required to register, and therefore the government had no idea how many IRBs there were. So this regulation was a long time coming and should have been required a long time ago. When the board meets, a quorum must be present. So for example, if you have 5 members, you need 3 members to be present, and one of those members has to be a non-scientific person, and one has to be not associated with the institution. However, one person could satisfy both the requirements of non-scientific and non-affiliated. Midlands IRB has no members who are affiliated with the company. There are a lot of ethics involved with human subjects research, and there are several codes of conduct, and the 3 main ones are the Nuremberg Code, the Declaration of Helsinki, and the Belmont Report. The Nuremberg Code has 10 directives in this code, and I don't have time to go through all 10 with you. So the main one and the #1 directive, and the most important one, I believe, is that there's voluntary consent of the subject, and it's absolutely essential in any research study. The Belmont Report is the ethical principles outlined in the report are the basis for regulations designed to ensure the protection of human subjects in research. Basic principles of the Belmont Report are respect for persons, beneficence, and justice. Respect for persons. You need to treat individuals as autonomous agents with the right to control their own destiny and allow people to choose for themselves whether they want to participate in the study or not. And when you have persons with diminished autonomy, you need to provide extra protection for those individuals, like prisoners and children and uneducated. IRB does not review research involving prisoners, as one of the requirements is that you have to have a prison advocate on board, and we don't have one. Beneficence. The 2 general rules formulated from the principle of beneficence are: first, do no harm, and second, maximize possible benefits and minimize the risks. justice. Treat people fairly by distributing the risks or benefits of participation among all segments of society, and fair sharing of burdens and benefits of the research. Respect, out of respect comes the informed consent process, as well as the respect for the subject's privacy and confidentiality. From beneficence, you need to have good research design, and you need to have competent principal investigators and researchers, and you need to have a favorable risk-benefit analysis, and again, you need to have equitable selection of subjects. In the Declaration of Helsinki, there are 32 directives. The main purpose of the Declaration of Helsinki is to provide the physicians conducting research with principles to follow, pretty much a code of conduct. The FDA regulations with regard to the protection of human subjects are located in the 21 CFR Part 50. And the regulations for institutional review boards are located in the 21 CFR Part 56. FDA regulations pertain to studies that are funded by Big Pharma. And then there's a whole nother set of regulations, 45 CFR Part 46, that apply to government-funded studies. The two regulations, or I should say the three regulations, have a lot of similarities, but there are a few differences. When the IRB reviews the research, it is categorized into three categories. It could go full board, which means the entire board meets for review. It can be reviewed by the expedited review process. And expedited does not mean fast. It's a federal term used by the FDA. And it means that it doesn't have to go in front of the full board, but it could be reviewed by one of the members. And then exempt means that it doesn't fall within the purview of IRB review. So IRB would not have to have oversight of that study. When it goes full board, the full board usually meets and reviews the protocol, consent, the investigational drug and device brochure, which the brochure includes all the animal studies and anything that's done to date with that drug. And then we review the principal investigator as well as the site information and any other materials that they're going to use, such as recruitment advertisements. Any advertisements, and you've probably heard them on the radio and TV, Quintiles and Vincent Associates. Any of those ads, most likely, we've approved, and they can't run those ads until they're approved by the IRB. Expedited reviews are reviews that don't need to go in front of the full board and can be done by one reviewer. And again, it may include the complete protocol, consent form, and PI information, but can be done through the expedited review process. And then exempt if the board determines that it doesn't need to have IRB oversight, then the IRB will provide a determination of exempt to the sponsor or the investigator. The types of review we have is initial, meaning that it's initially when the sponsor submits the protocol and the consent and all the PI background information, we review that. Continuing is once the study has been reviewed, if there's an amendment to the protocol or consent form revisions, those need to be approved by the IRB as well. And once the study is approved, it has to be reapproved at least annually. And then other things that we review are safety information, unanticipated problems, protocol deviations, non-compliance by the investigator, things of that nature. The criteria for IRB approval is that risks are minimized, selection of subjects is equitable, informed consent is sought and documented, and the research plan has